What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report. Coming up on today's video, we're going to be talking some top 2026 targets for the Crimson Tide that this staff has really been targeting here in the last couple of days. They've been on the road, taking some visits to guys, both at their high school and some in-home visits as well. But first up, I want to ask you guys to hit that sub button for me right now. Of course, the season is over, but that does not mean we're going to stop making videos here at the Alabama Football Report. Recruiting, like I said, is really going to start ramping up for Alabama, and we're going to try to keep you guys updated on all things Alabama football recruiting. This is our Chat Sports leaderboard right here in terms of subs. We're only 7 away right here from hitting that 23,000 subscriber mark, so help me out. We're also trying to catch our Michigan channel. They're a bit ahead of us. They're at about that 33,000 subscriber mark right now, so still a little bit away from that, but we definitely caught some ground doing our watch parties this year. So make sure you guys hit that sub button and stay up to date on all things Alabama football. Like I said, we're going to talk some Alabama recruiting here today. First up here, Cederian Morgan, our first two guys we talked about on yesterday's video, but definitely wanted to hit them again because Alabama has visited these guys in the past couple of days here. Cederian Morgan, 4-star wide receiver out of Benjamin Russell High School in Alexander City, Alabama. Like I said, he is number 43 player overall, number 7 wide receiver, number 2 player in the state of Alabama. We'll talk about the number 1 player here in just a second. Another big body wide receiver, 6'5", 210 pounds. As of right now, Tom Loy of 247 Sports does have him predicted to Alabama, but also has 2 other predictions going to Auburn there. So Auburn, Alabama, 2 top teams for him right now. And has taken a few visits, right? He's taken visits to Alabama 4 times. He's visited Auburn 4 times, Florida twice, and Clemson once as well. Like I said, Jamarcus Shepard visited him at his high school on Tuesday and put up some pretty impressive numbers in 2024 in his junior season. 73 receptions, over 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns as well. And when I was watching his huddle tape, my first note for him was, F it, Cederian down there somewhere. Like I said, he's a bigger-bodied guy. Really can jump up, get those 50-50 balls for you. Played a lot of outside, but also did play a little bit in the slot as well, especially in some of those red zone situations. But I will say, one of the things I noticed, didn't think he's necessarily the fastest guy out there, but, his body type really did allow him to bully some defenders out there and just go up and get balls that a lot of wide receivers really would not be able to go up and get. He does currently right now have a visit scheduled to Auburn on January 25th, but would like to get to Alabama for their junior day on February 1st. We'll keep you guys updated, see if that does indeed happen. But like I said, bigger body guy, Kalen DeBoer and this staff really does like some of those bigger bodied wide receivers. And, they're working with what they already had in the wide receiver room right now. But they brought in Isaiah Horton, right, out of Miami. He's 6'4", 205 pounds. They also got Derek Meadows in this 2025 class. He's 6'6", over 200 pounds as well. So, you kind of can get that mix of different kinds of wide receivers in this Alabama wide receiver room. I think that's really just going to, bring a more versatile skill set to this Alabama wide receiver room. So name a wide receiver in that 2026 class that you would like Alabama to sign in that 2026 class. I know a lot of people out there, really enjoy following recruiting. So if you guys know a 2026 wide receiver out there, maybe it's Cederian Morgan, maybe it's somebody else as well. Let me know at the pinned comment of today's video, especially if that ad comes here on YouTube. Next player we're going to talked about him yesterday as well, the number 1 player in the state of Alabama, Anthony Tank Jones, and I think Tank is the perfect nickname for him, right? Kind of weird, I'll say it with Cederian Morgan as well. Yeah, they're both listed as 4 stars. It's really weird the way 247 Sports does it. They've got some 2027 guys that are listed as 5 stars, but a lot of their 2020 6 guys, they don't have them ranked as 5 stars quite yet. So, I'm sure by the end of everything, he's definitely going to be a 5-star. Out of Mobile, Alabama, St. Paul's Episcopal down there. Really big kid already, has that SEC body type, right? He's 6'4", 240 pounds. Tom Lloyd right now also does have a prediction into Auburn, but a lot of teams are going to be in the mix for him. He's taken 8 visits to Alabama, 7 to Auburn, 4 to LSU. Has also taken multiple visits to Georgia. Miami has taken visits to Texas A&M, FSU, Clemson. So, like I said, he's number 11 player overall, definitely going to be highly touted. Kalen DeBoer and Alabama's linebacker coach Christian Robinson both visited him at his school on Tuesday and, put up really impressive numbers in his sophomore season as well. Over 100 tackles, 10 sacks. My first note for him, he's an absolute menace. He plays the position just really, really mean. And when you talk about his athletic ability, he lined up at the Wildcat. He lined up at wide receiver, got some touchdowns as well. Lined up kind of as a blocking tight end type as well. Just really likes to put opposing players on their ass, whether or not he's on the offensive side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball. It's going to be very interesting whether or not Alabama recruits him as an edge rusher at that Wolf position, or if they're going to go more of that linebacker position. Really, the way he flies around the field does remind me a lot of Jahad Campbell, but like I said, he's lined up outside the tackles as an edge rusher, kind of in that stand-up 2-point stance. But he's also lined up more inside over that outside shoulder of some of those guards, too, in a 3-point stance as well. Don't think Alabama's really going to use him that way, but we know Kane Womack really likes to get guys that are very versatile. So Anthony Jones, Cederian Morgan, 2 of the top players in this 2026 class, 2 of the top targets for Alabama as well. Both of those guys also in-state recruits that you would love to get in this 2026 recruiting class. Also, want to give a shout out to our sponsor today. That is Game Time. The NFL playoffs are right around the corner here in just a couple of days. They're going to start kicking off, and you can get tickets really cheap and really easy on Game Time. They even have a new feature to help you guys out called the Game Time Picks Filter that makes getting tickets to see live events even easier, whether that's concerts, comedy, sporting events, theater. You can get it all on Game Time. And guess what? Last minute, if you want to go to an event, you can get those tickets cheap last minute on Game Time because the prices go down the closer you get to the start of the event. So Martin Lawrence is coming to Birmingham here in just a couple of weeks. You can also go ahead and get tickets to the Senior Bowl. That's a really fun event if you've never been to the Senior Bowl. Or if you're in Tuscaloosa, or if you're an Alabama fan in SEC country, you can go get tickets to see Alabama basketball on the hardwood as well. One of my favorite features on Game Time are the seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy your tickets, so you know exactly what your view is going to look like. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and redeem promo code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS, that's ChatSports, for $20 off your first purchase. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. So download Game Time today. They have last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, the next player we're going to talk about today is Kamhariyan Johnson. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Different way to spell Kamhariyan, that I've ever seen before anyways. As of right now, he is a defensive lineman, but he is not ranked by, I think the only site that has him ranked is Rivals right now. They do have him as a 3-star, but picked up offers from both Alabama and Auburn on Wednesday. Freddie Roach went and visited at his school the other day out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Really big kid, right? 6'5", 250 pounds. And I think one thing of note for him as well, he said one of his goals was to have an offer from his dream school, that being Alabama. So I do think that is of note. Now, a lot of players out there say, this is my dream school, whatever, and then they end up going somewhere else because, situations are different for all these different guys and, whether or not they want to play immediately or play, end up getting a couple years under their belt before they end up playing. But he does have a couple visits lined up so far here in the next couple of weeks. He's going to be going to Missouri on January 18th, Tennessee on January 25th, Oklahoma on February 1st as well. So not going to be in town for Alabama's Junior Day on February 1st, but He has been in Tuscaloosa before. He was there for the A-Day game. He was also there for the Georgia game this past year. And he also went up to Tennessee, caught Alabama versus Tennessee in Knoxville this year as well. So another opportunity for him there to see Alabama live and in action. But he did say he would like to make another visit to Tuscaloosa there in March. Now, there are some connections right now with some players on Alabama's current team and in some of their other recruiting classes as well. Him, Jamarian Latham, and 2027 commit Barack Willis all trained together at the same training company, step-by-step sports training. So I think that's a very good connection there. Had 71 tackles, 13 TFLs, 11 sacks this past season. One of my first notes for him, just watching his huddle film, he makes a lot of hustle plays, right? There was a ton of plays where he was going, receivers or running backs, whoever was going downfield, having to cut back, kind of slow down a little bit. He didn't slow up. You see a lot of defenders, whether that's defensive linemen or whatever, the play's 20 yards downfield. They're like, I'm not going to make the play. They just kind of give up on the play. This kid was never really giving up on plays. So I love that hustle. I love that heart that he can bring to this Alabama team. Now, they used him a lot at defensive end / edge, but 6'5", 250 pounds. I think he's probably going to play more inside for Alabama if they can get him in this 2026 class. So I think either, there's two ways he could go, right? He could lose maybe a little bit of weight, play that bandit position, or maybe gain a little bit of weight and play more of that inside defensive tackle position. Really did remind me a lot of kind of how Tim Smith plays along the defensive line. Bigger guy, but they can play him outside as well. And, Kane Womack played Tim Smith outside a lot this past season. So, he kind of bounced inside, outside a lot for Alabama. So we'll, kind of see how Alabama is recruiting him there. But, like I said, he's not ranked right now per those bigger recruiting sites outside of Rivals. He's a 3-star. But he does have some notable offers as well from some other SEC schools, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and like I said, Auburn has also offered him as well. So, if he jumps up in the recruiting rankings or anything like that, we'll make sure you guys, or we'll make sure to keep a note on that for you guys on future videos. So let me know here in the comments section again, guys, how many defensive linemen do you think Alabama will sign in this 2026 recruiting class? I know a lot of people right now are kind of worried about Alabama's depth. I'm a little bit worried about Alabama's depth, especially on the interior of that defensive line. So let me know here in the comments section, how many defensive linemen do you think Alabama will sign in that 2026 recruiting class? Next player here, we're going to talk about JaReylan McCoy, 4-star defensive lineman, number 6 defensive lineman in this 2026 class, and another top 100 guy as well. Currently, right now, committed to LSU back on January 2nd. He's out of Tupelo, Mississippi. Big guy. 6'6", 245 pounds. One of the funniest things, though, that when I was doing my research on this kid, he told the LSU on 3 site and their guys over there, he was in LSU, or he was at LSU for that LSU Alabama game when Alabama went in there and just absolutely blew them out of the water. But one of the funniest things about that to me was the fact that he noted the atmosphere that the LSU fans brought in Tiger Stadium, which is comical to me considering Alabama was beating the hell out of them early in that game and late in that game. And they kind of started, leaving that game around halftime. So definitely did want to make a little bit note of that. But another kid with a lot of offers out there, currently committed to LSU, like I said, also holds offers from Ole Miss, Alabama, USC, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and on and on and on. Now, he doesn't have any junior highlights. He's got a little bit of sophomore highlights out there, so I'm just going to kind of wait and see until he drops those junior highlights before I really kind of dive into really what he's like. But, I looked a little bit at his sophomore highlights. Looked pretty solid, so, like I said, he's got a lot of offers out there. A lot of schools know what they're doing, so this kid is definitely another kid that, is a very, very notable player in that 2026 class. One school that I think we should monitor as well is Ole Miss. Like I said, the number 5 player out of the state of Mississippi. And he's taken 9 visits to Ole Miss. He's only taken 1 visit to LSU, 1 visit to Alabama, and 1 visit as well to USC. So if there's another school out there that you could be worried about, like I said, he's committed to LSU right now. Still a long way away before that signing period ever actually happens. But Ole Miss, definitely another team to monitor for McCoy. Last player we're going to talk about here, really we're sticking along the defensive line, if you guys couldn't tell by now. Nolan Wilson, 4-star defensive lineman, top 100 player, ranked number 100 right now. All these rankings right now are per the 247 Sports composite rankings. Number 6 player out of the state of Mississippi as well. 6'4", 237 pounds. He's got offers from a lot of SEC schools, Alabama, Florida, LSU. Also has offers from Miami, Michigan, Ole Miss, Tennessee. The list goes on and on and on for him as well. And what's notable about him, I think, he was unranked as a sophomore per On3, but then after his junior year, he jumped up to number 56 overall per those On3 rankings. So made a massive jump there. For those On3 rankings, had a very, very good junior season, had about 68 tackles there, double-digit sacks, and one of the most impressive things for me is he averaged a forced fumble per game, and you really, you heard Kane Womack this season talked about being intentional in forcing some of those turnovers, so definitely fits that same mold there. Alabama was his first offer, so I do think that means a little bit of something there. And one funny thing for him, too, on his huddle film, at the very, very beginning, it says, their size, their name, their school, their position, and everything like that. And he had his position listed as defensive end / edge assassin. And that just kind of made me laugh there. But when watching his highlights, I was really impressed with him as well. I was impressed with his balance, really. His ability to dip that shoulder and kind of get around some of those offensive tackles. He really impressed, I thought, with his speed to power. Really knocks some of those offensive linemen really, right off the line of scrimmage because he gets really good jumps off the snap as well. Plays both inside and outside. I think Alabama, if they brought him in, would probably bring him more inside, being a kind of a bigger guy there. But, also, I think it was really funny that in his highlights, he's got a lot of highlights in there of him on the kickoff coverage team. And in my notes that I have here, in all caps, I have lay in the wood. And at one point, I verbally said, I was sitting in the office by myself just watching his highlight tape, and I just said, oh my God, because he just is out there just trying to take people's heads off, just trying to take helmets off all day. So really like this kid as well. We'll continue to see, where his recruiting progresses there. And if Alabama narrows down on some of these guys here, though, but has also taken 2 visits to Alabama so far, has taken a visit to Ole Miss and Nebraska and USC as well. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on all things Alabama football recruiting. So make sure you guys are subscribed.